our top 10 quick comic picks. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our real quick show where we show you some of the biggest and best books that you can get this week at your local comic book store, or if you head over to infinityflux.net right now, they are available to purchase. So you won't miss out on any of the great stuff by knowing in your head that you know all the awesome books coming out this week.
Yep.
Couldn't have said it better yourself.
Right.
So let's get into this week of books.
We're going to start with a big one, Absolute Superman #1. And at this point, what else is there to say? You guys know the deal. This is a new Superman in a new universe. There's a few differences and a few similarities to the Superman we know. We do see what life was like on Krypton in this universe. We see a little bit of Superman's parents in this one, his birth parents, Jor-El and Lara-El. And then we see Superman mixing it up with a group of peacemakers who work for the Lazarus Corporation, who I believe is going to be the big threat throughout this series. There are a lot of questions in this. There's a lot of stuff that we are going to learn over the course of the series, but it is absolutely fantastic. The artwork is great, and I can't wait for everybody to get their hands on this.
Well, first up for me, I've got JSA #1. This is going to be a big week of #1s. JSA #1 is going to be by Jeff Lemire and Diego Olortegui. Sure. So this is great. I'm a big fan of the JSA, and they are back. Both the kind of original members, the Golden Age members, and all the generations that came later. And when something happens, and they're the kind of the higher ups there, the ones who've been there so long, are gone. Some of the younger ones start arguing about what's the best way to take the JSA. Should they still follow the kind of the morals of the Golden Age, or are those not good enough anymore? And do they have to be more proactive? There's a lot of cool stuff set up here. Kind of multiple stories going on with where the other heroes are and where the new ones are. And I think this is great. If you are ever a fan of the JSA, you'll slip right back into this like old shoes because the characters here exactly how you remember them, and I love that. This is a great place to jump on. Also, if you've never read the JSA, and you get a whole group of new characters to read about, but I really love this. That is JSA #1.
Next, we've got Kahhori, Reshaper of Worlds. Now, this is a one-shot featuring the character Kahhori, who first appeared in Season 2 of the What If Disney Plus Marvel television show. And this is actually one story, but it's comprised of 3 different parts. We have our first story that sets up the threat for this book, which is Loki, but Loki from a different world. He's blue, he looks like a frost giant.
Oh, cool.
And they start to battle, but their battle takes them across the multiverse, where they wind up in Earth 616. Daredevil is there to help out. She also runs into Moon Knight and dukes it out with him before they inevitably team up. And then she has to finish off the fight with Loki on her own. But yeah, this is Kahhori's first appearance in comics. And it ends with the end for now.
Yeah,
So
of
we
course.
might see her again a little bit sooner than later.
Well, next up, another new #1. This is Batgirl #1. This is following Cassandra Cain, who is such an interesting character that this really delves into her past as her mother, Lady Shiva, shows up, which they are not on great terms considering Lady Shiva raised her not even to speak, just to be an assassin. But her mother warns her, hey, I'm about to get attacked, and so are you, and we've got to work together and get out of here before that happens. But you don't have to wait long because this issue is all action as you see kind of a little bit behind the scenes of Cassandra, how she can read body language and interpret it, all the while fighting ninjas. This is a kind of a non-stop book once it gets going, and I thought it was really great. So this is going to be a awesome new mini series of Batgirl.
And next up, we have Aliens vs. Avengers #2. The first issue came out back in August, and now we finally have the second issue. The first part of this book is actually set 20 years before issue #1, and we see Tony Stark selling his company to Weyland Yutani, which doesn't seem like something he would do, but there is a reason for him to do that. And then fast forward to present day of the book, and the Avengers have decided that what's left of humanity needs to leave Earth to save humanity because the xenomorphs have completely overrun it. And Tony Stark already has a plan for that. They're able to leave pretty quickly. But as you might expect, there are some complications with their departure. And maybe not every member of the team makes it to space with them.
Ooh. Next up, I have an awesome issue. This is Ultimates number 6. This is your first issue where the team is all together. You have the whole roster that has been building through this entire series, and they're finally going to kind of take the fight to the Makers Council because Iron Lad says that behind this door that they're currently at is a lot of prisoners that they are going to free. But when they go through the door, they don't necessarily find what they expect, but they do find the Hulk, and this is your first big battle with the Ultimates team. The Hulk and his team of superpowered characters you have to check out. But this was a great issue, and it felt very like climactic and everything. So it's all been leading to this moment, but I can't wait to see what happens after this as well, because it's not looking great for the Ultimates.
Right.
But yeah, awesome issue with Ultimates number 6.
Well, next we have this year's Green Arrow Annual, and this is the final issue, not of the series, but the final issue with Joshua Williamson and Sean Isaacs at the helm. They have been your team from the beginning of this series. And I actually kind of thought this would put a bow on the story they've been telling so far, but rather this is just one final story from the two of them. It's a nice one and done story. Oliver is actually a little bit older. It's set a little bit in the future, and he's telling a group of kids about the one time he missed. And it's actually a tale that goes through the history of Green Arrow as he tries to take down this villain called the Firestarter, and why he wasn't able to do that for so long. And it's really cool because we see different eras of Green Arrow in different costumes, and it's even done in the different art styles of those times. It is just a wonderful, wonderful one and done story. If you've been reading Green Arrow, you're definitely going to want to pick this up because, like I said, it's the final swan song of Joshua Williamson and Sean Isaacs on this book.
Next up, I have FML. This is a new book from Dark Horse, written by Kelly Sue DeConnick with the art by David Lopez. This is kind of a punk rock dystopian coming of age tale as this group of kids in a very like murder podcast, true crime podcast, distilled world where that's kind of all people talk about, that kind of stuff. The main character's mom is a former punk rock star. When they discover one day that some zines she made when she was younger have some magic spells on them, and they decide to test them out. But this is really cool. I feel like this is very much about like the world they're in, and this very kind of like punk edgy feel for it. So if that sounds like your thing, you'll definitely want to check out FML number 1.
Last for me, I've got Batman number 154. This is part 2 of this new all-in story arc. And this issue is actually really cool because there's a lot of detective work going on as Batman and James Gordon try to find out who killed the character that was killed at the end of last issue. And we actually do learn who it is, or at least we think we do. And it's actually pretty shocking. And on top of that, Bruce Wayne learns something pretty shocking about his father that may end up not being true, but for now it seems like it is, and it's kind of shaking him a little bit. So just a couple cool different revelations in this book, and like I said, it's a story with detective work, and that's always a great Batman story.
And lastly, for me, I've got X-Men number 7. This was a great issue that answered a lot of questions, like what is up with that giant sentinel in Alaska that's looming over this small town? What about this girl named Piper Cobb that maybe she's a mutant, maybe not? And why is Magneto in that kind of hover chair that he's in and working with Cyclops? All of that is answered in here as we see the backstory on that giant sentinel and some further exploration of these people that are turning into mutants kind of all of a sudden. A lot of really interesting stuff here, a lot of awesome action, and just some great team up between Magneto and Cyclops that I love. So a great issue of X-Men with issue number 7. And that is it for our top 10 quick comic picks. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, all of these are available right now while supplies last over at infinityflux.net. So whether you shop online or you're local and you come by, you can still go in there, order your books, and come in and pick them up, or we ship them out to you. Just super easy, but that way you guarantee to get the stuff that you want. And there's some great stuff this week, so don't miss out on any of those. And until next time, see ya.
See ya.